are the chief suspect in a serious drugs case, Miss Allen.
The prison van rumbled to a stop. Ruby Allen fought back tears, her stomach churning. This wasn't how her life was supposed to be. She was a businesswoman, a wife. Now she was just another number in a system that chewed up and spat out women like her. HMP Holloway loomed, a forbidding fortress of brick and barbed wire. She was ushered inside, the heavy door clanging shut with a finality that stole her breath. The first few days were a blur of processing, bland food and hostile stares. Prison was nothing like the movies. It was far worse. The air hummed with tension, every word, every glance a potential threat. Ruby, used to the finer things in life, felt completely out of her depth. She was a lamb amongst wolves, and these wolves were hungry. One woman, however, seemed to watch Ruby with particular interest. Her name was Chrissy, and she carried an air of quiet authority that commanded respect. Her eyes, though, held a glint of something colder, something that sent shivers down Ruby's spine. She would soon learn why. Chrissy Watts had been inside a long time, 19 years to be exact. 19 years since that fateful night she'd silenced her abusive husband, Dirty Den, for good. But Den wasn't the only ghost that haunted her. The name Johnny Allen still sparked a fire in her belly, a burning resentment that time couldn't extinguish. Johnny Allen, the ruthless gangster who'd once ruled Albert Square, had been her nemesis. He'd used and manipulated everyone around him. Hardened by years of prison life, saw a chance for revenge. She observed Ruby from a distance, studying her weaknesses, her vulnerabilities. This naive newcomer, with her designer clothes and her air of entitlement, would be easy prey. Chrissy would use Ruby to hurt Johnny Allen, even from beyond the grave. She would make him pay for his sins through the suffering of the girl he'd used and discarded. This was justice, Chrissy style. Life in HMP Holloway was a constant power struggle, and Chrissy had risen to the top. She controlled the flow of information, the small privileges that made prison life bearable. She was respected, feared, and utterly ruthless, and she used that power to make Ruby's life a living hell. She spread rumors about Ruby, turning the other inmates against her. She intercepted her letters, her phone calls, isolating her from the outside world. Small acts of cruelty, designed to chip away at Ruby's spirit, to break her down completely. Ruby, confused and terrified, had no idea why she was being targeted. She'd heard whispers of Chrissy's past, of the man she'd killed. But what did that have to do with her? She was a victim in all this, just like Chrissy claimed to be. But Chrissy knew the truth. Ruby was a pawn in her game of revenge, a game that was only just beginning. The years crawled by. 2024 arrived, bringing with it a new inmate to HMP Holloway. Sharon Watts, once the queen of Albert Square, was now just another prisoner in a pink jumpsuit. A minor offense, fraud, nothing serious. But for Chrissy, it was an opportunity too delicious to resist. Sharon had been there the night Den died. She'd played her part in Chrissy's downfall, albeit unwittingly. Now fate had delivered her enemy right to her doorstep. Chrissy, working her magic with the prison guards, ensured Sharon was placed in the cell next to hers. The stage was set for a confrontation 20 years in the making. Word spread like wildfire through the prison. Chrissy Watts and Sharon Watts, together again. It was better than any daytime soap opera. The tension was palpable, the air thick with anticipation. The other inmates, sensing a showdown brewing, kept their distance, their eyes glued to the unfolding drama. Chrissy's voice, dripping with venom, sliced through the tension. Sharon, still dazed and disoriented, struggled to comprehend the situation. Chrissy, her eyes blazing, approached the bars, her face inches from Sharon's. Sharon, fear gripping her heart, tried to reason with Chrissy. She hadn't meant for any of this to happen. It was Den, not her, who had made Chrissy's life a misery. But Chrissy wasn't interested in reason. She was fueled by years of resentment, by the bitterness that festered within her. This wasn't just about Den anymore. This was about survival, about power, and Chrissy Watts would not be denied her revenge. The news of Sharon's release came as abruptly as her arrival. A clerical error, they said. She was free to go. Chrissy watched her leave, a cold smile playing on her lips. Their story wasn't over, not by a long shot. Sharon may have escaped the confines of HMP Holloway, but she could never escape the long reach of Chrissy Watts. Their paths would cross again. It was only a matter of time. And what of Ruby? She too would eventually taste freedom. The whispers, the rumors, the constant fear, they had changed her. The sweet, naive girl who had entered those prison gates was gone, replaced by someone harder, more cynical. She had survived Chrissy's wrath, but at a cost. She had learned that the world was a cruel and unforgiving place, and she would be ready for it next time. The question was, would the world be ready for her?